Hello. Hello. Happy Wednesday. Wednesday. Halfway through the week. Yay. I'm happy. Hi. Amy D. Let's make some music cards. I think they're called Tune-dex cards. Um, they used them before. I don't know if they still do with everything so electronical. I know that they were like 30s, 40s, 50s, and they would set these like when they were in a marching band. They would have this like things that came out that held the music, and this is what they would use so that they could play their instrument with their hands and still see the music. So what we're going to make is some, I think they're called Tune-dex cards, music cards, whatever you want to call them, and they are going to be journal cards basically that we can put in our journals and write on the back. You can make them double-sided, but they are so easy to make. So this is what we're going to make. Let's get going. So what I'm going to do, I've got a piece of coffee dyed paper, and this is a 8.5 by 13 piece of paper. There we go. There. And I've got 5 by 3 index cards. These, I don't know where I got these from. These are about as thin and no lines on them. Anyways, that's what we're going to use. So what I'm going to do is I'll make one, and then we'll go from there. And we can mass make these in, gosh, I couldn't even begin to tell you how many you could make. So we're going to glue the whole side of one. And we're going to stick it right down on our coffee dyed paper. Let's see. I'm going to go right to the corner and right up to the line. Move this out of the way, and let me move this out of the way. Let me get everything out of the way so that I can craft. And that'll make it easier. And I found it again. Not the one that I love, but it's the one that'll do. But on this one, I'm getting out my handy dandy card because that makes it easier to smooth. So I've got that. I am just going to use my ruler and trim that off. Right on the edge of that card. There we go. That took more than it should have, of course, but you know me. And then we'll go right here. Now we've got the back of our card. Let's so I found this little thing of music that I have, and what I'm going to do is I'm just going to take that off of the top, and we can use before the cross, or we can use what would you have done, and that's going to be the continued, oh no, it's not. So it's not. So let's do before the cross. And I'm just going to make sure that I have enough here, and I want the top, and I want it to be enough at the bottom. So I'm going to just get my ruler and go right along here. Tear off that excess. And then to make sure that we've got enough, because I want that to be centered basically, I'm just going to do a rough guesstimate over here. And then I'm going to do a rough over here. And we'll just make sure that we have it, we can trim it. Now, I do know that I want to make sure that I have the top on there. So I'm going to go across the top right about there. There's that. Got some nice, I love, look at the color of that paper. Isn't that fantastic? Isn't that great? Okay, so now we've got our pieces that we're going to put on there. I'm going to get my glue paper down again. And now I'm going to glue this side, the white side, because we are going to be able to write on that side. We'll glue on this side. And we'll just go right along here. Get it all glued up. We'll stick our paper on there. Oops, don't drop it. Stick it where you want it. Now that glue is gushy enough at first that you can move it around a little bit. So there's that. We'll get our handy dandy card. Undo this. And now we can trim it. And these are my sticky scissors. I'm just going to go along the edge here. And there we go. That's it. That is it. Now, you can, I'm going to trim the bottom just a little bit here. You can ink it if you want to. You don't have to. You can round corners if you want to, like I did. You don't have to. Here's the ones that I rounded. Here's where I rounded the corners. Let's not round these corners so we can see the difference. We'll just ink that. There we go. And there's that one. So there, we've got two of them. Let's go through and mass make some. Why not? We have time, don't we? I do. So let's do some. Let's see how many we can make. We'll get our paper down here, our glue paper. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to glue all at once. And then I'm going to stick them on as I go. And we'll get them all stuck on, and then we can cut them out. So let's see how many we can make on this piece of paper. We'll see how long it takes us. Nice, there's one. 2, 3, 4. Okay, we'll be able to get 5. So let's see how long that takes. Okay, here we go. The Tune-dex train is coming down the tracks. Whoop, whoop. There we go. So everybody knows, well, I think probably not everybody knows, but a lot of people know because I told you during one of our sales that Deb and I were having that I got my nose pierced. Well, I had nothing but trouble with that. So the nose ring came out and I couldn't get it back in. So I took it down from my house to where I got it done at, and that's about 35-ish minutes away. She had a hard time getting it. She couldn't get it in from the outside in, but because you couldn't find the hole on the inside. So she was able to, after about 20-25 minutes of that, and my nose started bleeding and it hurt, of course. I asked her, I said, okay, so you're able to find the hole on the inside, right? And she's like, yeah. And I said, okay. So when you pierced it, you used a 20 gauge needle and the catheter on the outside to guide it through, right? She said, yeah. And I said, so get the catheter, the sheath off of a 20 gauge needle and stick it from the inside out and then guide the nose ring back through. She said, well, I didn't think of that, but I don't know if it'll work or not. Well, it worked. So 5 minutes later, I was walking out. Well, when I was, it came out again, and I thought, it was like 8 o'clock at night. It was like, I am not going back down to Oakwood to get this done again. It's too late. I have to work tomorrow. I'm not doing it. So I found another tattoo shop that does piercings up closer to where I live. And my son and I went there, and the lady's like, yeah, she says, I can put a different one in, because she couldn't get that one back in either. She says, I have the corkscrew kind. I have a taper, I think she called it. And she said, I can get this other one in that way, and we can just do it again. And it's like, okay. Well, of course, it hurt, just like it, worse than it did when I first got it done, like the other time. But she got it in. But I had a diamond in my nose before when I first got it done, and this one was not, well, it's not a real diamond, of course, but it wasn't a gem, and it was smaller than the one that I had in. So I asked her, I said, you don't think that that's going to go through the hole, do you? And she says, well, I don't think it will, but if it does, just come back and I'll change it out. And I'm like, okay, all right, that sounds like a plan. So fast forward a couple of days, and we're in Pigeon Forge. And what do you know? But exactly like I was worried about, it goes in the hole. And I had been messing with it for a couple of days to try and make sure that it didn't do that. Well, overnight, because it heals so quickly, it had started to close over on the top. So went and found a tattoo shop that does piercings, and it's like, can you just take it out? Because it was starting to get infected too. I was like, can you just take it out? And she says, yeah, I can take it out. Well, it ended up I had to have her take it out, and she had to take it out from the inside, pull it through my nose. She said, anytime you want to come back and get it done, she says, I'll make sure that it's done correctly and that, everything. She said, I promise you'll have a better experience. Well, I can assure you I will never have that done again. I learned my lesson, okay? I learned my lesson. No more holes in the nose except for the ones that were given to me when I was born. No more. So I no longer have my nose pierced. I'm not cool like that anymore. I was for 2 weeks. That's how long it lasted. Exactly 2 weeks. But that's okay. I'll be fine. It's all right. My nose is no longer infected. It's healed up quite nicely. And that's that. We'll be doing it again. It was cute while it lasted, though. Sure were. Once these dry, they'll flatten out. And you can, like, when you're done making them, you can put them under a book or something heavy and flatten them out. That's not a big deal at all. So there's that. Let's get some garbage out of the way. So yeah, That's my experience with getting my nose pierced. It wasn't the best experience. But that's the way that cookie crumbled. Let's see what I've got here. We got that one we can use. I like this one too. Oh, here we go. There we go. Let's do some of these and see what we've got here. All right. Get them all good smooth so we can flatten them out just a little bit. It's not glued down very good. There. There we go. There, we've got our 5. So let's see. Let's see how long it takes us. I want to do this one. I know I want to do this one because I really like that. I'm going to go right along the bottom of that picture because I'll use that picture for something. For sure. We'll do this. Have y'all ever made these before? Or do you remember the cards that I'm referring to from them? Did you ever play in band? I never played in band. I did not. If you played in band, leave down in the comments what instrument you played. I used to do batons, but I wasn't in the band with them. Let's do this one. Let's just do the music on the bottom. And again, like I said before, these can all be decorated. You can decorate them if you want. We're just going to do that right there, and we're going to go just like this. You can leave them blank. The world is your oyster. The world is your oyster when it comes to making and creating. They're fun. They're fun to have. I like having little things like this, again, just to stick in the pockets, put in a tuck, in a little envelope or whatever. There's another one we've got. Let's do this one. They're cute. I like them. They can get kind of pricey, depending on where you're getting them from. I know I've paid a pretty penny for some, and then it was like, I love them, but I can't afford to pay that. So I'm going to make them myself. And I did. And I like them. I like them. Don't forget that Deb W and I are having our first sale on this channel Saturday, the 29th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm going to have a lot of French stuff that I've never shown before. I've got some new French drop papers. We're going to do $8 French drops like we do. I've got some really good stuff, you guys. I do have a special surprise. It's not here yet though, so I'm not going to say anything. But when it gets here, I know you're going to love it. And it'll be a giveaway. And it's going to be a ton of fun. And it's something that I am pretty sure that most everybody likes. Pretty sure, but it's not here yet. I'm still waiting on it to get in. But when it does, prepare to have your socks blown off. Oopsies. So I'm going to put these in my box of ephemera that I've been accumulating everything in. And maybe when we do some decorating, we'll take some of these out and decorate them too. You know, we'll just kind of do a decorating run and get some stuff decorated up too, because we've got all kinds of ephemera at this point. Now we need to decorate it. Yep, I knew I had one more. There we go. Okay, let's do this one. Let's do this. Yeah, that'll work good. That'll do. That'll do. So today for our huddle at work, look at that. I love that. Isn't that cool? On Tuesdays, we have a question that somebody comes up with that we have to answer. And it's like, you know, team building or whatever. And today it was, if you could have a time machine, would you go backwards or forwards? And I chose to go backwards, but I told him I kind of wanted to hop around a little bit. I wanted to go back. I wanted to start by going back to the times of Jesus so that I could walk the earth the same time Jesus does. And then I wanted to go forward a little bit to the 14 or 1500s when Henry VIII was in reign, because I'm very fascinated with that stuff. And then I want to move forward. I want to jump back in my time machine and hit the Victorian era, because I love all this stuff. You know, check that out. And then I want to get in the time machine and go just a couple of days ahead of today so that I'd know the lottery numbers. So that was my answer. That's what I would do. What would y'all do? I kind of like this one. Let's do this side. Get some glue. So yeah, my time machine is more like an escalator through time. It kind of just rolls along and goes where I want it to for the moment, and then I'll jump back on and go somewhere else. Yeah. There's that one. Let's glue this one up. This paper is fragile, so I'm trying to make sure I don't stick it where I've already got glue, because that could be detrimental to my piece of paper. There's that one. I guess I could do it in frame. That would be nice of me, wouldn't it? Yes, Amy, that would be very nice of you to do it so that people can see what you're making. If you're going to come and show people what you make, you should show them what you're making. Point taken. That. Turn this around. There's a dry spot. glue my paper or my card instead of my paper. That one's got a fold in it and it's pretty fragile. Put that down. We'll put this one on there. It's on the card. There we go. Oops. Got two more. Two more. Yeah, so you can glue either the paper or the card, whichever works best for you. If your paper's very fragile, it's probably going to be easier to glue the card, just to be honest with you. That one had a fold down the center of it, and I knew if I had manipulated it too much, it probably would have torn. This is another one that's got a little tear in it and stuff. But yeah, so even like this one is not exactly straight. I know that some of the real ones that I have aren't either. And so I'm okay if they're not perfectly straight. I do try and make them straight, but I'm not the straightest cutter, even with a paper cutter. I somehow managed to cut it crooked. So if that's you, it's okay. Because I've got a piece of fuzz on there. The originals weren't all straight and lined up either. And in reality, this is how they made the original ones. Because I've got several that are just a piece of like cardstock or thick cardboard, not thick cardboard, like cardboard, and they just glued the music to them. So I've got some that are like a double size of this too. I like these ones. I just think that they work good for me, but you can make them smaller. You can use bigger. You can use bigger index cards if you want. You can make them smaller. You can make them with pictures on them instead of music, so that maybe they could go down the parade route playing their tuba while they're reading their homework assignment. Trim a little off of there. Or their comic book, one or the other. This one will take a little trim. There we go. And we've got one more to trim up. We've got that little tag over there. This tag here. There we go. There. I'm going to clean some of this trash off of here. Okay. Here's our 5. 2, 3. Oh, I got to trim this one. Hold, please. That's what my Nikia says. Hold, please. She's up in Pittsburgh. She says, hold, please. There. Now we're ready. Okay. So we've got these 5. What do you guys like? Do you like rounded corners or do you like the square ones? I like both. So I'm going to round these 2 and I'm going to square these 3. So let's round these. I'm going to use the middle size one, and that is the 7 millimeter. And we'll just cut those corners off. Or round them. We're not cutting them off, we're rounding them. There's that one. There's that one. There's that one. Let's get saucy. Let's get this one. Now we're going to get saucy, and we're going to get rid of those offensive corners and use the little corner trimmer. There's that. And I like that. Now these ones we're going to keep square. We'll get some ink and a dauber. We're just going to go around and give them some color. Make them look like they've been out in the sun a little while. And these are nice that you can make ahead. You can have the bases ready to go. And when you start working on a journal, oh, that didn't work so good, did it? When you start working on a journal, you can decorate them to the style of your journal. If you're making a botanical journal, you can put flowers on them. If you're making a fashion journal, you can put a fashion lady on it. If you are making a millinery journal, put some sewing, a sewing machine ad, and you could ball up some thread over there and it would look nice. You can put tags on them, tabs, you know. Stick them in an envelope, stick them in a belly band, stick them in a tuck, stick them in a pocket. They look good wherever they go. Okay, guys, let's see. We've got 32 minutes, and I had that one made. We made that one. We made that one, and that one, and that one, and that one, and that one. So we've made 6, and I had one made in 32 minutes. Not bad. We'll come together and craft together and do some decorating, and we'll pull these out of the box and give them some decoration. Bye, guys. I hope you have a great day. Bye.